Alright, welcome to part 2 of the financial, series stuff that we're doing. And it's time. You've graduated college, you got college debt, you got credit card debt. It's just what's going to happen. Or not, I don't know. And it's time to pay rent. It's time to move out of the basement. So what city are you going to live in? Of course we're going to move back and live in Chesterton. Are you going to live alone or with a roommate? I'm going to live alone. Use apartment.com to find an apartment in a location. Hold on. Go downstairs. Go downstairs. Okay. I found a apartment and it is $800 a month. Alright, it's beautiful waterfront. It's, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Okay, extra question. So that wasn't that hard to do. Extra question. Perhaps you would rather buy a house. So here's the finances of buying a house. Let's say we buy a house for $200,000. That would be your starter home in today's market, or maybe when you graduate. You typically need to have 10% down. So somehow you have to come up with $20,000. Maybe you've got I don't know what happens, but somehow you found $20,000. So put down. And typically in this scenario, you're going to need a 30-year mortgage. And currently, mortgages are actually pretty low, 4.5%. When my parents bought their house in 1986, the mortgage rate was 10%. So you guys are actually, and with COVID stuff, you're going to end up coming out of college and mortgage rates are going to be really low. So let's see what that translates to. Alright, so what is your monthly mortgage payment? So we're going to go into our finance app. We're going to do 30-year mortgage. So 30 times 12. Interest rate is 4.5. The present value of your mortgage is not $200,000. It's $200,000 minus your down payment. So $180,000. You always gotta consider that. The future value after 30 years, 360 payments, is going to be 0. Alright, so this is what we can do to figure out what our payment is. Alright, your payment is $912 a month. So, what is your monthly mortgage payment? $912 roughly, around. But, and so you might think of that, hey, you know what? I can actually, if I just have another $112 a month, I can just buy a house. And then I'm not throwing $800 away a month. Well, then you got to think about you got insurance to pay on that. So add another $100 to that. You've got taxes to pay. So add another $100. So actually, yes, this is your payment, but you got to add another $100 onto that to get your actual payment, another $200. So you're actually paying about $1,112 a month, let's just say. So we're rounding up. So then it becomes, you know what, you're probably going to have to rent. I don't know if you can afford that. Maybe you can. I don't know what job you have. If you can't afford this, maybe it's a better route because you're investing. This is an investment. This is just throwing money away. But maybe you're saving more money here that makes it worth it. Who knows? And then comes home ownership. You got all kinds of other stuff you got to buy. How much do you pay for the house after 30 years? So let's take our 912 and we're going to take 912 and we're going to multiply it by 30 years times 12 times a year plus the $20,000 you paid down, and you end up with $348,000. So let's just say roughly $350,000. Wow. So that's the way a 30-year mortgage works. This is how much the house costs. This is how much you're going to be paying for the house. Pretty crazy. Suppose you did a 15-year mortgage at 3%. How much is the monthly payment, and how much do you pay for the house every 15 years? So let's change this now. Let's go back into here, and we're going to change this to a 15-year mortgage. 3%. The loan is for the same amount. So let's find our payment now. That moves our payment down up to 1,200 and we'll say 43. So the monthly payment is 1,243. Now remember, you got to pay an extra about $200 onto that because of insurance and taxes. But after 30 years at that amount, 1,243 times 12 times 30 plus your down payment, that puts you at, I did that wrong, 12,400 times 12 times 15, not 30-year mortgage. There you go. I was like, that is way too much. 243,000, let's just say 245,000. Roughly, approximately 245,000. So look at the difference. Look at the difference between a 30-year mortgage and a 15-year mortgage. With the 15-year, you're going to get a lower interest rate. Alright, you're going to have to pay more a month, but look at the difference in the amount you're going to pay. You're going to have 100,000 difference almost. How much money do you save by doing a 15? About 100,000. There's about $100,000 difference. That's a lot of money. When my parents bought their house in 1986, the interest rate was 10%. If they financed $100,000 for 30 years, how much did they end up paying for the house after 30 years? Alright, so let's run this real quick. TVM solver. We've got 1986 money. So they've got 12 times 30, 30-year mortgage, 10% interest rate. The present value, let's say, is 100,000 on the loan. Everything's set up here correctly, and we can go and solve for this. So their payment was $877. $878. And let's go ahead and calculate how much they actually paid after 30 years. So 878 times 12 times 30, it's monthly payment times 30 years, plus their down payment. So if they financed $100,000, more than likely they down payment of $10,000. So they end up paying $326,000. I'll just round it to $325,000. That's crazy. This is what was going on in the 90s. You took a loan for $100,000, and that's how much you're paying. That's just, you're tripling the price that you're paying. It's just amazing. So the moral of the story here is, when you're financing, put as much down as possible, and you want to keep the terms low if possible. So instead of doing a 30-year, you do a 15-year, and then you could do a 20-year, whatever you can afford. But you'll really save a lot of money by doing that. All right, next, your transportation. Your college hoopty needs an upgrade. All right, is your car new or used? Well, that's what you can decide. I'm going to buy a used car. What year is the make, model? I'm buying a 2016. It's got a Toyota Prius, of course. Why wouldn't you? It's the mathematically appropriate car to buy. How many miles does your car have? It's got about 30,000. What is the price of your car? Let's say it's about $16,000. And you have state tax of 7%. What is the price after taxes? Because you always got to think about taxes when you're doing this. So for taxes, you can just multiply by 1.07. That's 100% plus an additional 7%. So I'm actually paying $17,120. Find your own car. Don't do a use 2006 Toyota Prius. Figure it out for yourself. Tax tag title will be about $400, so that increases up to that price right there. So yeah, so you might be able to afford a $16,000 car, but can you afford a $17,520 car? You need a 10% down payment. So how much is your down payment? $1,752. After your down payment, how much will you need to finance? So take your $17,520 and subtract 1,752. For purposes, let's just round that up to 15,800. All right, you took out a little extra on your loan to I don't know, buy something cool. All right, so you've got this much you're needing to finance. So I'm going to do 2 of these. You need to do all 4. But I'm going to do 2. So let's say we can finance this at 36 months for 4%. Alright, let's go plug that into the finance app. DVM solver. You've got 36-month term, and you've got a 4% interest rate. The present value is 15.8. You want that to be 0. Let's find out what our payment is. Here we go. Find out what our payment is. $466. So monthly payment is $466, roughly. Total amount paid including down payment. So this is where you go and you take your 466 times 36 payments plus your down payment and you end up paying $18,528. Alright, so for the $16,000 car at a very reasonable 36-month 4% interest rate, you end up paying over $2,000 in interest, $2,500 almost. Now today you can get a 72-month loan, and that's going to be a little bit more interest, but let's see what that turns out to be. So go into apps, finance, change this to 72 months, the term of the loan, 5.25, and same amount that we're financing. What does that do to our payment? This is going to make our payment go down, so to $256 a month. Well, now we can afford a nice car, $256 a month. Let's see what that ends up being. So 256 times 72 months plus the down payment, $20,184. So for the $16,000 car, you end up paying that in the long run. Maybe that's worth it. Heck, you can get a pretty decent car for that. But you're going to be in debt for 72 months. They even have 84-month loans right now that you can get. They want to get rid of cars right now. What is your miles per gallon? 50 with the Prius. About how many miles of gas a month do you need? We're going to use this for our budget on our next one. So if we take 1,000 miles, which is average for a person, and divide it by 50, you need 20 gallons of gas every month. The average price of gas is $2.50, so times 2.5. And my monthly gas budget is $50. That's going to add up by buying that Prius. Okay, extra question. Which car would you buy? Suppose you pay $1,000 down, 7% tax, and 400 dealer fees. Let's run this option. Brand new car, 0% interest rate for 60 months, plus 2 years free maintenance, and a 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. Let's figure out what that costs in the long run. Alright, so go into your apps. Let's run the scenario for the brand new car. We've got $23,000, 0% interest rate. What am I doing? Okay, $23,000 with the 0% interest rate. You just got to divide that by 60 to get your payment. There's no interest. So you're paying, hold on, $23,000. You're gonna have $1,000 down. That's what you're financing. Hold on. Let me run this back. I'm missing something. 23,000 times sales tax, right? Plus 400 in dealer fees, and that's the total price of the car. $25,010. Total price of the car. Now, apparently you only have $1,000 down, and they're going to accept that. So we're going to go ahead and do $1,000 down. Sorry, I'm in interest mode. My mind's not calculating non-interest mode. So that's how much you're going to have to pay. And if you got 0 interest, you just divide that by 60. That's your monthly payment, $400. Roughly $400 a month. So now take 400 times 60 plus 1,000. That's $400 a month, 60 months plus your down payment. You're back at $25,000. So when you got 0% interest, you pay what you pay. All right. You bought this car, and that's what you paid for it. Now let's do let's say we get a 1-year-old Toyota, because it's, guess what? It's quite a bit cheaper. Look at the price difference just by doing 1 year. So let's look at what this would cost. So now I'm in interest mode. So let's go in here. We've got, first thing we got to figure out is I've got $19,500. I gotta do my tax. I gotta add my dealer fees. So I'm actually paying $21,265 for that. That's the price you'll pay walking out the door. Now we're going to subtract $1,000 off of that for our down payment. Alright, that's how much we're going to finance. $20,265. Alright. Now, for this scenario, we've got a 60-month loan, and the interest rate is 6%. The present value is $20,265. The payment is what we're trying to figure out. We want the value of our loan to be 0. We'll go in here and do payment, and you have a $392 a month. Alright, over the term of this loan, take 300 excuse me,